the Corner of Gray Street podcast. I'm Bruce, as always, and I'm joined by Nolan. What's going on, Nolan? Happy tour opener day, as this is technically Wednesday, May 22nd in Tampa. DMB opening the tour, and we're releasing this episode today. So happy tour opener day to everyone out in DMB land. And we wanted to celebrate by launching a Convos on the Corner with none other than Mr. Cory Wong.
What's happening? Up, man? I'm stoked to be here, dude. Let's go.
Thanks for coming on, man. Stoked.
True Renaissance man, Grammy nominated. You've got a signature Fender Strat. You've got so many collaborations. It's mind bending. You're in every single time zone. I feel like when we're looking on Instagram, obviously guested with DMB last year, guesting with them again at the Gorge this year. I think if your music was described, it would be a vibrant funk, soul, jazz, rock, fusion, this, that, and the other, and all of the kitchen sink. What's up, man? It's good to have you. And number one, we wanted to get into a little bit of background on Cory Wong. You have so much passion. What sparked that passion and for music, and especially the guitar?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I was like a skater kid, right? And I was part of skater culture and also an MTV kid. Like that was my babysitter. You know, I'd get home and it's like, MTV kept me occupied until, whatever. So I loved music. I loved watching concerts on MTV late at night. And I just loved the whole thing about music helping you feel like you're a part of a community and music helping you feel a certain emotion. And when my friends and I, were out skating, we'd listen to music that helped us to feel like we were part of a thing. And it helped us to feel a certain way. These angsty teenage kids, preteen kids, just trying to find their way, And for me at the time, honestly, it was like the Warped Tour community was totally the thing. Because like all these punk bands and skater culture and just kind of this whole interesting arts scene was all wrapped into one where people just felt like they belonged. And that sort of community-driven, emotion-driven thing just helped me get stoked. Like, wow, when I listen to these Green Day songs, I feel this way. I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I can play the bass or the guitar in a way that can help other people feel something. And then I realized that it helped me feel a certain way and it helped me express a certain thing about who I am. And I just got really excited about that. So the idea that I could help other people feel like they're a part of a thing to kind of help cultivate and be a part of a community where I felt like and was welcoming other people to feel like they belonged, and also to be able to express and feel emotions together was something that, I there's no way I would have been able to articulate it that way as a 6th grader, 7th grader when I started playing. But really it just happened so naturally. I want to be a part of this. I want to contribute to this. Here's what I can do. And I was just so driven to do it that I didn't see any other way other than getting really good at my instrument and dedicating myself to the craft.
Well, you've clearly created a gigantic music community around yourself. Now it seems like everybody and play with everybody. You also have a decent guitar collection there behind you. Do you play any other instruments, or is guitar is that your baby?
Actually, this instrument behind me right here, this bass guitar, this white Fender jazz bass, is the first instrument I ever owned. I got when I was in 6th grade. I started as a bass player, and I love the bass. The bass is my favorite instrument. And when I was trying to start a band at school, I found a friend who's like, I'll learn how to play the drums, but I'm not going to get lessons. So I stayed after school in the band room. My band teacher was like, I can tell you're passionate. Like, you could stay in the band room for 2 hours after school, but then when I pack up and got to go, you got to go. So I taught myself how to play drums in the band room after school for a few months. And then I spent the next few months teaching my friend how to play the drums. And then I was like, all right, so we're drums and bass now. We got the rhythm section. Let's find a guitar player. So I convinced our friend Aaron, like, dude, you got to be in a band with us. He's like, I want to be in a band, but I don't play an instrument. I was like, well, play guitar. Just go learn how to play guitar. It's not like you could figure it out. He's like, well, first off, no, I'm not just going to learn how to play guitar. And second off, like my stepdad's got a bass in the attic. So like, why don't I just play bass too? It's like, you can't have two basses in a band. I was sorely mistaken because we could have actually probably had something really dope. But he's like, look, I'll play bass. Just teach me how to play bass. I was like, all right, fine. Screw it. I'll play guitar. I'll teach you how to play bass. I saved up all my shoveling money because that's what kids in Minnesota do to make money. And I bought a little cheap guitar and taught myself how to play guitar. And I've been stuck on it ever since. That's my origin story. But yes, I play the guitar. I play the bass. I play the drums. I play a little bit of mandolin and other things. I played the clarinet and saxophone in band growing up. And I played in the drum line and marching band, which kind of explains why I have the rhythmic style that I do, I think. Actually, I'm certain it does. Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's got to be either that or your start with the bass guitar, because you do have some fantastic the rhythm, funk, and the way that you can kind of pluck a little bit, pickless, and going ahead and finger picking a lot of good bass notes. And just, man, it's like that. Sometimes I feel like, we could kind of put the bass guitar to the side. Sometimes Cory's got it covered. Like, you've got both covered at once. Maybe the next instrument you need is one of those massive guitars that have the bass notes on the bass strings on the top and then the guitar strings on the bottom.
The Charlie Hunter method, dude. Charlie Hunter has that on lock. Yeah, that's
Andy McKee, he can play really well.
Yes, he killed it.
And then John Mayer, I think, attempted it his last solo tour.
Oh yeah, Mayer killed it doing that.
He did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be Cory's next tour, Spring Tour 2025. Cory Wong,
we'll see.
on the double neck guitar.
The problem is I like playing with other people so much. It's fun. Like, I think honestly, the way that I play guitar definitely is influenced by the fact that, it's like Happy Gilmore, like, I'm a hockey player, like I'm a bass player. It's like, no, you're not. You play the guitar, man. But like it's like Happy Gilmore, deep down inside, he's like, I'm a hockey player. And that's how I am about the bass. I might be a little better at bass than Happy Gilmore is at guitar or at hockey. No offense, but just I got the reps. I can hang. I can see when I'm on the grid and when I'm not, and I got it. But I put in the hours. Anyways, that is why I play the way that I do, is because a lot of where I'm informed and where I like to sit is in the rhythm section. So a lot of times my guitar parts. The thing about, we can get in the weeds here, which I'm just doing right now. A lot of guitar players, they're just like, I want to play guitar, and they're playing guitar parts that kind of are on top of all this other stuff. To me, I always want to weave in and out of where stuff is. So I'm listening to the drums and the bass. Where can I line up with what they're doing? Where can I add to what they're doing? Where are they placing the subdivision? A lot of times I think of my role as like a percussion player. So if we're adding a percussion player on top of what's happening, who just happens to be able to play pitches on an instrument, I'm like a pitched bongo in a lot of senses, but I can also play riffs, and I also can play lead lines if I need to and contribute to the harmony or the melody. But I really I'm always thinking first and foremost, how do I sit in the groove and enhance the head bob,
Oh yeah, you're good at that too, the head bob and the kind of prancing around, which makes sense. Bass player, I could see you on the bass kind of prancing around the stage as you do now. But if anyone out there, listeners that have not really listened to Cory a lot before, literally any music that you check out, whether it's a collab or whether it's through Vulfpeck or any of his other bands and collaborations, and with DMB, guessing we'll get into it in a little bit, but that is exactly what he does so well. And if you just need to pay attention to how he plays, where he sits in the music, it is fantastic. It is really cool. And the way that he can rise up to the top and lead and then sit back, like he said, in the pocket. And that kind of brings me a little bit to Vulfpeck. So the funk band that you've been a part of for almost a decade now, if you can believe it. Tell us a little bit about that origin story and just about that ride that you guys have been on so far.
Yeah, that band started as like a YouTube project of Jack's, kind of a senior college project at the University of Michigan. And Jack Stratton just kind of putting a thing together, just like a YouTube channel. That's really what it was. And a senior project that turned into, all right, next year, make another record. It was kind of never the original vision to be a band, which is interesting. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, people care about this. People want to listen to it. Okay. Maybe this is a band. Yeah. People think this is a band. Maybe it should be a band, and then has eventually just grown. And, I kind of got absorbed into the band. I'm the only one that didn't go. It is a U of M band, but I'm the only one that didn't go to University of Michigan. I went to the University of Minnesota, but it is for the integrity of it's a U of M band. So, I got absorbed into the band, and it's been such a wild and fun ride to go from being a YouTube act to a band that, plays the Garden and plays Red Rocks and plays all these fun festivals all around. And it's, just a group of friends. Like it's really like 3 weeks of commitment a year. So every time we get together, it kind of feels like a little bit of a reunion. It's special that way. We never take it for granted. Although sometimes it's like, man, it'd be so great to play more. There's also something really special for us, which then I think also translates to the fans, that it's just a really good time. We're friends that are hanging out. It's not like, hey, we're running a business together. Like, sure, yeah, but it's more just friends hanging out and playing music and enjoying what we do. And I think that's maybe also part of the charm of the whole thing, and what people maybe what's most magnetic about it.
And you get to do it all while wearing bathrobes in front of people on stage. That's
Yes,
I
this
mean,
last
pretty
album
good.
cycle was the Schwitz experience.
Yes.
So many of us are rabid,
Amazing.
Schwitzers, pre-Rogan Schwitzers, by the way, pre-Rogan, and the other cats getting on board. I'm talking years ago, going to the Russian and Turkish baths in Manhattan. Dope spot. They got this room in there that's like 215 degrees.
Oh my God.
It's treacherous, but it's exhilarating.
I think I saw that in what was that movie? Eastern Promises, the Viggo Mortensen.
I don't
Check
know.
it out. Oh, check it out. Intense fight scenes in the Turkish baths.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
No, these are cool, man. They're cool. I mean, it's not one of those sit around and enjoy the spa sort of. It's not that vibe, dude. Like you can get that if you want, sure. Like there's a bunch of rooms there where it's more chill, but I'm in there for the health benefits. I'm trying to put my body through the ringer, as if I'm training for something that really matters. I'm just trying to keep my body going, to be limber and moving around like Dave when I'm his age.
Right. Gosh, that
Cat's
guy.
got the moves, dude.
He
Iconic.
does. Well, you do too. I mean, you got to stay in shape with all this travel you do and all the bands and collabs you're in.
Oh yeah.
You have another one, the Fearless Flyers.
Yep.
With Joe Dart from Vulfpeck on
Yep.
bass. Can you kind of talk about your connection with Joe? And it's got to be pretty cool to be in 2 bands with him, and then some of the people you met along the way, like Victor Wooten, big
Oh my
DMB
gosh.
collaborator.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Joe is like I said, I'm a bass first guy. The bass player needs to be dope in a band. A lot of people are, oh, chunking along 8th notes on the roots. Nah, dude. Nah, dude. Bass players got to be killing. So it's amazing. I surround myself with great bass players all the time, and I virtually refuse to play with any bass player who, I don't know. I mean, obviously there need to be a certain level, but there's like you got to also be able to bring a creative way of looking at the instrument. You don't have to have chops, but you got to do something interesting. Anyways, being in 2 bands with Joe is incredible. And that one's fun. That's Nate Smith on drums, and Mark Lettieri from Snarky Puppy plays baritone guitar in that band. And it's just one of those fast attack, kind of like Olympic funk bands. It's like, let's do some 2.5-minute sprints. That's kind of how the songs are. And they're fun. They're these fast funk tunes, and our catalog has diversified more. And this last album we did, Fearless Flyers 4, was fun because the concept, we were all set to record in the studio, and we're like, what if instead of the studio, we just recorded the album on stage in front of the audience at the Blue Note? Because we had this 8 or 10 show residency or something at the Blue Note in New York City, just to kind of get together and have fun in a small room. Like, what if we play some songs and then tell people we are now going to record the album, and then play a few more songs, and it'll be all fun and it's exciting and it's a great sounding room and a cool spot. And we recorded every show, and pretty much everything was off of the last couple shows, but we got into a lot more jam territory on that, which was fun, where we got to explore a little bit more and kind of showcase a little more depth in our playing than we've done in any of the other records. So it's fun to have these kind of projects, like with Vulfpeck, Fearless Flyers, and Cory Wong. These 3 bands all scratch a different itch for me artistically, because my role is a little bit different in them, and what's kind of required of me in them is different. And in some, I'm straight out front all the time, and I'm the lead and whatever. And in certain things, I can kind of step back and just be a part of the fold, and I enjoy that. It's nice to be able to have that balance of just being able to have different outlets.
It's awesome, and you've got a ton of them, and they're super interesting, and all of them are great, which is awesome. And not everyone can say that, right? Like, a lot of people kind of go to other avenues, and they kind of not flop, but it's
Sure.
different. It's not as good. And we could have a million questions surrounding Victor Wooten, and then wanted to get in one with Letary there, from Snarky Puppy. Shout out to our guy Ryan Storm. He wanted to make sure that he's a huge Snarky Puppy guy, obviously Goose guy and all that, and a huge Cory Wong fan. But with you guys going out on tour this fall, he's like, number one, are they going to cover some Snarky Puppy? And number two, do y'all have anything exciting yet that you've planned for this fall?
I'm not sure about the Snarky stuff yet. I think we're going to focus more on my material and Mark's material. And of course, we'll probably do, like, Mark and I write a lot together for the Fearless Flyers. And my band makeup is very different than the Fearless Flyers. The Fearless Flyers is just 4 people, a tight unit. My band is this big 11-piece band with, full rhythm section and a percussion player and a 5 or 6-piece horn section at any given time. So to be able to create new and unique versions of some of the songs that Mark and I have written together for Fearless Flyers is something that I'm interested in, just to give these songs a different face, where I feel like there's a lot of the Snarky Puppy material. I don't know that we'd bring anything that's that different to those arrangements. Like, of course, I'd put my thing on it, but I feel like it's the Flyers material, band makeup wise, it's so different that I feel like we can be more creative with it, and we'll have a little more creative license than doing some of the Snarky stuff. And also having my band's take on some of Mark's material will be really fun. And yeah, I've already been working on some other arrangements, and I have a new album coming out in a couple months that I just finished with the Metropole Orchestra. It's a collab album, and that album will be out by the time the fall hits. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of that music, which I'm so stoked about, because it's some of my best stuff yet. There's a few tunes on there.
Oh, wow.
Like, man, I can't believe this. Really?
I can't wait for that.
We put this together? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some really fun collabs on there. Dude, I got Bruce Hornsby. Dude.
No way.
So Hornsby and I, we've been talking, we've been chatting. I interviewed him for my podcast, and it was one of those casual, like, oh yeah, we should do something together sometime. And I mean it. I'm a Bruce fanatic. I love Bruce. So I didn't know if he was serious or not. So I'm like, I'm going to give him a couple weeks of breathing room, and I'll hit him back and see if he's actually down. Great, obviously. If not, no harm, no foul. And he's like, yeah, actually, here's a handful of ideas. Here's some things that I wrote for this Spike Lee film years ago that we didn't end up using. And then here's a couple other new ideas. And he sent me these piano things. And there was one in particular that he sent that was just within 2 chords. It's one of those things where, how many times have you heard a piano? How different can a piano sound when 10 different people sit down at it? But in 5 seconds, the only person on the planet that this could be is Bruce Hornsby. So this one in particular, he sent it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is Bruce within the first couple seconds. And it just has this really potent thing to it. It's like, it's this very finely distilled Hornsby-isms in the music. And what I love about collaboration is how can I invite somebody in to do something that they've wanted to do that they maybe wouldn't necessarily do on their own album, but my album is a safe space for them to do that. And we work together and we collaborate on it, and I'm producing and all that. So of course it's going to sound like me, whatever. Great. So I was like, what if we just made an instrumental track like this together? He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what? Yeah. Oh my gosh. You mean we don't have to come up with lyrics? I'm like, no. Like, let's come up with an image and like a landscape and paint a picture with sound. And I could tell he just got super stoked, and we ended up writing this tune together. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. So we're gonna do a bunch of the new material on the new tour, and that's just one of the several things that I'm stoked about in the moment.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We saw Bruce Hornsby guest with Goose at Goosemas
Oh
in
yeah.
December. And man, it was so cool at the Mothership in Hampton.
Yeah.
Like all-time cool moment. They played what That's the Way It Is.
Yeah.
And so one more collab question for you. Goose is our other favorite band.
Yeah.
You guested with Goose on August 27th, 2022 on Hot Tea, which is my favorite Goose song. What do you recall from playing with the boys from Goose?
I didn't remember I thought the song started with an L. I thought it was like levitating or something.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I know it was at Sacred Rose Festival.
Yeah,
I think it
you
was
got that part.
It was in either F or E flat, and there was like a minor third walk down. I learned the song. I think they sent it to me the day before. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like, so we were hanging backstage. It's like, oh, this, okay. And it walks down to D. Okay. It goes to this. Oh, this. Okay. Yeah. All right. You want me to do this here? Yeah. Oh, it was just like kind of listen through. Like, oh, does that go to F? Yeah. Oh, walk down. Oh, it moves up. Do you guys, is that on a cue, or is that written? Is that ink, or is that cued? Because a lot of times when I'm sitting in with somebody, it's like, I need to know if this is this thing in the ink, or are we just kind of waiting until a cue? So a lot of times I'm trying to interpret, if I've never sat in with a band, or even if I have, it's like, what stuff is inked, what stuff is open. So we just I'd sat there and listened to it on my phone speaker in the green room. Okay, yep. Or are you covering it? Do you want me to do that line? Okay, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. It was just kind of that sort of talking through the song. Is that walk down to E flat? Yeah. Okay. Is that a hold or a hit? It's like, yeah, he held there. We were supposed to just hit though. It's like, oh yeah, because half the band. It's like there was some live version. It was like, oh yeah, this, and then it's like one of those things where listening to some sort of recording, and it was really fun. And then didn't sound check, just got up there and played. It was a blast. It was fun. And it's one of those things, like a lot of my years of session playing, where you just go in and you get so many reps of this sort of thing where you listen to a song once or twice and you have to just hold all the information in your brain for like 30 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, see, I totally forgot that was even the song name. I thought the song was called Levitating or something with an L. Lithium. I don't know.
Hilarious. You guys were levitating. You were in it,
yes.
Though, dude.
It was.
You knew everything about the song. I love that. That's
hilarious. It was also so funny because, everybody's got their different vibe on stage and their thing, and we're playing, and and I'm just trying to lock in with everybody, and those guys I think were on in-ears, and I had just a wedge in front of me, so I'm hearing a lot of just the amps on stage. It's a little less direct, so I'm having to focus a little harder to lock into where the subdivision is being placed on that size stage. So I maybe was a little more focused, and I'm trying to groove and have a good time laying the cut. And Rick afterwards was like, dude, you're just giving me that stare, man. You were just focused in on the thing. I'm like, dude, I was just trying to make sure I'm locking the subdivision right. He's like, yeah, I could feel it. The time was so intense. The time felt so just like it was driving. I'm like, yeah. that was the point. It's like, man, that was cool. That felt different. That was nice. And I think those guys also, they're just like, oh, we haven't seen you play guitar solos very often. A lot of people just know me as rhythm guitar guy. They're like, do you want to play a solo? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll play solo. I played a solo, and they're like, oh, cool. It's like, dang, I didn't I didn't know you could play guitar solos like that. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
you
I
crushed
didn't
it.
I didn't know how far to go. I didn't know, but that's the fun thing is like you sit in with a band once, you kind of figure it out, and they made it feel really effortless, and they were very inviting. I love those dudes. They're great.
Let's hope it happens again. That would
Oh,
be
I'm sure
awesome.
it will.
We'd love
Oh
to
yeah.
see that. So how we'll move on into the good stuff for everyone now. How does that compare to guessing with DMB? And then we can get into kind of your background with DMB, being a fan and all of that. But how does just the experience as a whole from that transition over to the DMB guest spot at MSG?
That one was totally different for a couple reasons. I mean, one, like the Goose guys, they're friends of mine, and I like the dudes, and I didn't grow up listening to their music. Like we've been coming up at the same time here.
Mhm.
Where with DMB, I grew up with that music. Like when it comes to, I didn't need to listen to the tunes backstage. I just I know them. I know the studio recordings inside out. I know the Live in Chicago arrangement. I know the Central Park concert arrangement. And I know these different eras of what they've been doing on certain things. And the only thing I wanted to make sure that I did, because I think it's important for anybody who really has a level of dedication to this craft, when you're sitting in with other artists, a lot of time those artists don't actually remember what the studio version is. I'm one of those people where like I'll listen back to the studio version of a song. I'm like, really? We went to the bridge that early? It's like we haven't done that since we recorded it. Literally, once we started playing it live, it takes on its own its shape, and it changes into
Right.
something different. So uh, a lot of times musicians when they're preparing to sit in with bands, they'll just like listen to the recorded version, and it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Like I think it's important to go a step further and listen. How are they doing it now on tour though? Because that
Hmm.
they're not going to change their tour arrangement so you can sit in and play the album version. That's just not going to happen. No band does that, right? So for me, the only homework I had to do was had. I mean, I just turn on channel 30 in my car, and it's just like the current live arrangements of songs show up, and then I go on YouTube and it's like, okay, what's the current version of Ants Marching? Oh, okay,
Mm.
cool. What's the current version of Too Much? And what is Tim doing? How can I fit in
Hmm.
here? I don't want to just sit in with a band and just like play on top of it. I want to actually
Mhm.
add value to the band. I want to add value musically to what's happening, because I think a lot of times in many bands, in a lot of different bands, I'm not saying this is all the case, but sometimes when a sit in doesn't feel right, a lot of times it's because like I don't know, maybe it just would have been better without them. Maybe it would have been like they're just kind of playing over the song.
Yeah.
I've been that guy. I've been the one who I get done. I'm like, man, I honestly don't know that I contributed anything of value. I think the song might have been better if I were muted. And whatever, it's okay. And then you have those experiences and you learn. So in this case, it's like I I've listened to these songs since I was a kid, and I know the live versions of them. I know how they played them back when uh, the band had a certain instrumentation. The instrumentation is different now, and I know what it was like when they played these live without Tim, and what they're like not live with Tim now. And as a guitar player, if I'm gonna be standing next to him, I don't want to just be stepping on his toes, because I know he's also going to be listening and responding. How can I do something that's going to add value? How can I do something that's going to leave space where Tim needs space? And how can I leave space in the subdivision for Carter to do his thing? And again, it comes back to me kind of locking into what's happening musically and contributing to the riffs when the riffs need support or harmony, and locking into different parts of the subdivision where that can happen. And then when they say go, to be able to step up to the plate and go. And for me, sitting in with them, it was more about, okay, there is such a dedicated fan base who knows these arrangements and know these songs inside and out, as do I. Now, how do I add value to it, especially in such a big band? How do I add value to what's happening? Because guess what? Troy's sitting in on trombone, so he's going to
Mhm.
be adding something. That's going to be another element that, if I am I thrown off by that? No, not at all. And if he's going to start playing something, I'm going to lay back in the cut, and here's the places if I were to step out, here's my game plan. If I'm to lay in the weeds, here's my game plan. And really, that was part of the preparation experience for me. And, um, also just like have fun. I wasn't over stressing either, because
Yeah.
this sounds so absurd to say. And you can ask Eric Foss, who was my best friend in high school and college. When I was a teenager, we used to do some volunteer work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And part of what they asked the volunteers is like, okay, you're helping out at this event. Now just imagine if you were somebody who is gonna, have a wish. What would your wish be? I promise you, I am not lying. Ask Foss, ask Andy Celine, ask ask Vince. I'm saying people that you don't know, but they're my friends. Look them up in my high school yearbook. Call these guys. What was Cory's
We will.
Make-A-Wish? I was wishing to play with DMB at Madison Square Garden. How insane is that?
That is absurd.
That is
Incredible.
absolutely insane. The most iconic arena in the world, with this band that I've just been such a fan of and jammed along to recordings of for 20 years now. Like, to be able to just do that, to be invited to do that. Oh my gosh. I mean, it sounds so cheesy to say, but that's why I'm like giving the
not at
disclaimer.
all.
Call Vince right now. Ask him. Like, seriously.
We're
that
fact
was
checking.
so, to be able to do that sort of thing and to be invited into it is such a privilege. And it's something obviously that deserves and commands the respect of putting in the work and bringing my best foot forward.
Absolutely. And I think you have the poster right behind you as
Dude,
well. Is that
yes!
And so do I. Look, we both have it.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
I had it framed. Look at that. See, I
Yeah.
ain't joking around. Yeah, I have the poster from that night. I had it framed when I got home, and just let it be one of the, there's certain things that you put on the wall as things that are they're just they help remind you of a checkpoint in time, as like, you know what? Hey, today might suck, but guess what? Remember that? Oh yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's do it. We got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Well, so I was at the show, and my buddy that I went with, he was telling me earlier in the day, I was staying with him just for the night in New York, came up just for the show. And he was like, dude, I saw this awesome band in Brooklyn earlier in the week, Vulfpeck. They were incredible. So he's telling me all about it. And then when you walk up on stage, he's like, that's the guy. That's the guy I was telling you about. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's him. That's Cory Wong. I was like, no way. And he was like giddy about it. And
That's
then,
awesome.
dude, it was so cool. And then the energy that you brought was like, I mean, I think it rubbed off on everyone. Like, we could tell how good of a time you were having up there. I was like, this dude seems like he's like a DMB fan. Like, I feel like that's how I would look if I was able to play guitar like that up
Yes.
there. And oh my gosh, man, that was like, I mean, one of the best shows I've been to, but also one of the best guest spots I've seen, or that there's been
man.
for me. It was big time. And I feel like the DMB community afterwards was like, there was a big buzz about you and the job that you did with
Cool.
it. So yeah, great job, man.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I mean, there's so many people that sit in with that band. That's the other thing is, man, there's a long list of legends sitting in with that band, from James Brown, Maceo, Vic, Derek and Susan the night before. I mean, how many incredible people have been on stage with that band. How am I going to bring something that feels unique? How am I going to bring something that feels magnetic? And a lot of that is of course in learning the role to play, but also bringing, being able to do it, but also bringing your own fingerprint to it. I think is one of the riddles that we as artists are always trying to solve. And yeah, I mean, there's no hiding the stoke. I mean, I'm like that on stage with my own band too, though.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, but it's just a little extra stoke factor. Just going into it, just with all the history and all that. And, you've brought up Vic several times, and,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, it's like one of those dream things to play number 41 with DMB, but also one of those things where it's like, dang, all right, if they ask me to do this one, there's a lineage I got to live up to, you know?
Oh yeah.
Do I quote Vic live 98 in Chicago? Do I quote Bela?
Mm.
You know, do
Oh,
I
yeah.
quote the
Yeah.
Bela live tracks? Because I actually transcribed Bela's solo Worcester or something, where I don't remember.
Yeah.
What's
One
the
of Worcester? Yeah, what I know how to not from that part of the Midwest boy over here. I transcribed his solo on number 41 for one of my college projects, you know. So I have all these solos that I know in my head. It's like, oh, should I quote some of these iconic ones? Should I just start off with my own thing? Do a little of both? You know,
Mm.
do I create my own new,
Oh.
try to create the new iconic thing for whatever? And it's like, yeah, just do your own thing, man. Just have some fun with it. And
We need that recording. I need to hear that. We had Bela on a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We'd love to have Vic on, but I want to hear that recording. Cory Wong playing Bela's solo on 41.
I should post it. I mean, there's a lot of
You
things that I
should.
transcribed back in college where I'm like, man, I put a lot of work on this just
Yeah.
for my professor to hear it, you know?
Yeah. Bring it
Ain't
back.
nobody
That would be-
online listen to me doing this. I should do that. I put in the work. I should at least
Yeah. Throw it on
Get-
IG.
get a
Dude, yeah,
handful of likes for it, you know, rather than just
A
like my
handful.
professor just telling me like, well, you know, the articulation on the banjo is a little different. So maybe if you would have finger picked this part of it, it would have been better than if you used your, you know, I'm like, all right, well, respect.
Respect.
So real quick, just about like, you know, obviously we've talked about kind of Dave's energy and dancing being kind of influences, you know, on you. And it seems like, you know, you've talked about even Carter, Dave's guitar style, Carter's musicianship and drumming style being influences. What was it like actually being on stage with those two guys, and especially Carter, where, you know, you've had that bass guitar background, you're having to lock in a little bit, and he's a different animal
Oh,
to
yeah.
be on stage with. So a little bit of perspective on that would be so cool coming from you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that made it so easy is that the second I walk on stage, so between songs, there's somebody side stage. The monitor engineer presses a button and it opens up all these microphones where everybody can talk to each other in their in-ears. So the second the song stops, right before I get up, monitor engineer presses a button and Carter can just look over and talk in his normal voice to me and I can hear him. You know, there's all these mics that open up. Buddy's mic opens up. It's like all these mics where there wasn't before. I can now hear them in between songs. So Carter was very warm and welcoming. Hey man, love what you do. Just have some fun. Do your thing and have some fun. I know you know the tunes. Have some fun. Do your thing. Just for him to say that with a big smile and with a fist bump, and for Dave to look over and be like, man, you know, we got just before the gigs, like, man, it'd be nice to get into some long form jams, but it'd be great to play some funky stuff with you. Hey, you know this part, like where I normally do this breakdown funky thing. Why don't you take that? Yeah, you give me that funky, give me that funky stuff, man. You know, it's like, all right, yeah. And so, you know, to be invited in such a welcoming way, because I think they're also, you know, when you do this for so many years, you want to be surprised in a song that you've played hundreds of times, you know? So I think everybody's trusting the energy of the musicians that are coming in and the musicianship that they're going to bring to the tune to hopefully spark something new. And yes, playing along with Carter is a whole different thing because he does stuff on a lot of these songs that hired gun drummers maybe wouldn't get away with in other bands. But it's like, this is part of the iconic sound. You got to bring this, you know? And I've listened to it so much. I know a lot of his moves. I know a lot of his 16th note triplet moves because I've listened to them. I know a lot of his rhythmic displacement things because I've listened to a lot of it. And my buddy Foss, who you're going to call to fact check me, who was the drummer in my band, studied Carter and did all those things too. So he used to do all that sort of stuff. I mean, I have under the table and drumming up on my shelf up there, the VHS. Yeah, you know, I wasn't even playing drums, but it's just like I watched the drum videos. So I know, not that it's just like, oh, a certain bag of tricks, but it's like I know a certain language that's being spoken in that. I know how to keep the time steady. I know how to lock into the strong beats and when to lock into the higher density subdivision, where to leave it out, when to bring it in, when to kind of, I don't know, just use my judgment to play off of it. And then if I start to do something, if he's going to respond, then I'll kind of feel it out as kind of a conversational thing. Because, you listen to Crash, that whole record has so much, a lot of the tunes that I played when I sat in are from Crash. And there's the drums and there's so many layers of percussion tracks on top of that. So how can I add some of that element on the guitar that's going to bring something new that will give respect to the original and also enhance it in a totally new way? I think that's what I was trying to find with Carter. And then with Dave, it's just, how do I play something that's not going to throw him off in any way and not change the integrity of the song itself, of course. And, I know his guitar parts, I know his style. So he's also very rhythmic. So how do I kind of fit in all of that? And Stefan gluing everything together, sometimes locking with him on certain things. It was just one of those things where ears up, very responsive. It's kind of like, in some ways, being like a helicopter pilot, where it's like these, you know what you're doing. You just got to be careful with very minor motions. If you're going to, minor corrections in decision making. And then it's like, oh, it's almost there. Yep. Okay. It's kind of weaving in a really fun way. I mean, obviously the pressure's not the same. I mean, maybe to some people is, but it's like, we're playing music, we're having fun.
Oh man, it was just an incredible fit on those songs. You played on Billy's, So Much to Say, Anyone Seen the Bridge, Too Much, and then Ants. And those are songs that don't typically have an electric guitar guest. I can think of, like, Warren Haynes comes to mind, probably the most, who's played electric on some of those. But man, it was epic. And then finished the night at the after party at DJ Ari Fink.
Oh yeah.
So we run into you there, and it was the same thing. Me and my buddy were like, that's him. He's here again. What is going on? We're like, we got to get him on the podcast. Just
Louis Cato and his band were hanging there. Louis is a good friend of mine. So I wanted to come by and say hi to Ari. I've known Ari for a while. He's been a good advocate for me over at Sirius with Jam On and other stations.
We talked to him in, I think it was February, and he had glowing things to say about you. Have one question though, in regards to the DMB guest spot. How did it happen? Who reached out, and what was that moment like for you?
I don't remember I feel like it was a combination of multiple things. I mean, I'm good friends with Jeff Coffin. He's played with me. We've hung out a bunch. I've played on some of his songs. I've done some shows with him, with his music. So I've known Jeff for a while. I think I met him through Vic, or maybe, actually, I don't even remember where I met Jeff. Just kind of like Nashville music scene stuff. I spent a lot of time in Nashville as well. And Jeff, he's been a big supporter of mine. We've hung out a bunch, played a bunch together. I know he's talked to the camp about, we should have Cory sometime. And I know that there was talk with my agents and managers, with Dave's agents and managers. This might be a good fit with Cory as an opener sometime. And, Cory's a big fan. Cory knows the material. It could be something really fun. If you wanted to do that, Cory is always down. Anytime they're in the same city, let us know. I'm sure Cory'd be down. And I know his team fairly well, and they're great dudes. And I know his managers and agents just from also other acts that I've collaborated with and just know, and just music industry, whatever. And then I also have hung out with Rashawn quite a bit. But my manager was like, hey, you're in New York. I think Dave's team somebody might be reaching out to you. We heard that they're interested in having you sit in at the Garden if you're still going to be in New York. Great, cool. And then the next day, Rashawn texted me. He's like, hey, dude, we'd love to have you sit in. Jeff and I were talking, and we were talking to Dave. Dave wanted me to ask you, what songs you're comfortable with or whatever. I think I sent him a list of 45 tunes. I was like, I can eat on these tunes. If you need a chef, I can cater.
I just play the whole
Yeah.
weekend.
I know.
That's
I could
incredible.
seriously. Yeah. So he's like, whatever of these songs that you're doing, I'm fine with any. If you got other people sitting in, whatever. Honestly, yeah. Any of these. He's like, wow, cool. Let's do these. And there was one that I was gonna do also, but James. Oh, I was gonna do number 41 also that night, but James Genus came the night before to the Friday show to sit in on bass, and that was like the one song that he knew. So he played that one. So I was actually gonna play another song
Dang
on
it.
top of all that.
Oh,
We'll see. Next, maybe next time. It's fine. But again, it's like, hey, I'm fine. I mean, I played plenty. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. I mean, speaking of
Worked out.
next time, obviously things worked or went very well for you, and with that collab. So you're going to be opening up for DMV at the Gorge night 2,
Yes.
Labor Day weekend. So August 31st out there at the Gorge. If y'all are there, Cory is going to be opening. Have you ever been to the Gorge? Number one, and what are you most looking forward to over the weekend and sans potential guest spot? We'll ask about that in a second.
Sure. I played at the Gorge, not in the big main picture like spot, that big amphitheater, natural amphitheater. There was a festival called Sasquatch that Vulfpeck played at. We headlined the second stage. This is 8 years ago, something like that. I don't know, 7 years ago. Time is aloof at this point. But we were at a festival there. So I've been to the Gorge. Incredible, beautiful, iconic space. But I'm so stoked to play because, I mean, the 2004 live album is just another one of those, right? Is that 04? Is that when that one came out?
02. Close enough.
Yeah. 02. Okay. That was before Central Park?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was after Central Park. My bad. I was still a teenager. I get a pass. It was all in the same, yeah,
Same time frame.
Chicago, Gorge, Central Park. I guess Chicago was earlier enough, but I've never seen a show at the Gorge. We played our set and then we had to bolt right back to Seattle because we played and then it was just in and out for the festival. So I'm really excited for that weekend because I'm going to come for the whole weekend and just hang. I want to, just enjoy it there. I have a sister who lives in Seattle also, so I'm going to spend some time there, hang at the Gorge. The whole band's coming out. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
It'll be epic. We went in 2021. Supposed to go in 2020. COVID happened. Flecktones were supposed to open. Didn't see the Flecktones, but had a great time the next year. And I mean, it's going to be
without
incredible.
Carter and Fonz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no Carter and Fonz either.
Oh, that's right. Didn't Buddy play drums on that?
Yeah,
a little bit. And his key technician came out and played keys, and then
it was wild.
Who was it? Tony Hall on bass.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then Robert Randolph came out and joined.
That's right. Okay, this is all coming back now. Yeah.
Wild time. Okay, so you mentioned number 41. What are some other songs that you would your top songs on that list that you submitted that you would love to play on?
I mean, honestly, the ones that I played with him already are just so they're just, they're obviously some of the like more radio fan friendly things and just like the general just crowd pleaser. Nobody's listening to Trippin' Billies and not getting hyped, So I'm stoked, dude. But some other ones that might be really fun and interesting to play on. I mean, obviously, number 41 would be one of those. I think. I mean, obviously, Crash is one of my favorite albums of all time. Not obviously, but it is. Lie in Our Graves or Proudest Monkey would be interesting. I think My Guitar Style would be super interesting to kind of explore some space on Proudest Monkey. Just to kind of, it kind of lends itself to the harmonically, the way that that it's laid out, and especially the way Leroy played at the end of it. I think there's an interesting way to utilize the way the pentatonic scale lays out on the guitar that would give it a certain ancient folk feel. I've always heard these certain types of melodies over the end of that, and then whenever I kind of play along with it, I'm like, oh, this would be interesting over this song. And it wouldn't be one of those things where it's like you're gonna hear the most ripping shredding solo, because the nature of the tune is more chill. And but I think there could be something really interesting on that one. And okay, look at me, I'm just one album stuck right now, but Say Goodbye would be a really fun one to play on.
Sounds like just the 41 into Say Goodbye segue with Wong.
Totally.
Maybe that Saturday night when you open for him, they just play Crash all the way through, and you never leave.
Dave will be like, I had 4 of these songs on the set. What are you doing?
No, I'll just have Dave come out and sing them with my band.
Oh, there you go.
God.
That would be insane, dude. That'd be a flex. Talk about Make-A-Wish, yeah. You know what? Actually, would be really fun. There's such a fun version. I think it's Red Rocks 05. There's a version of Dream Girl that's really cool. They started doing an outro thing with a different groove that I would cook on that one. And it's in a guitar.
Go back and check that one out then. Dave will come out and guest, I bet. He's done it plenty of times and sing with people. Or I'm sure, Jeff and Rashawn being good friends of yours.
Yeah, I know Jeff and Rashawn will come. They're going to, especially because I have a horn section and I have charts, so it'll be easy for them. They could just come out and hang, read the charts down, and then toss them something, let them break a piece off. That'd be so much fun. Jeff is actually, he sat in and read the tenor sax book in my band on a couple gigs before, which is fun. Actually, you know what other is a great, a couple great songs that are not DMB that would be fun to play with Dave. Joyful Girl.
Okay.
It's a Ani DeFranco song that he did on a Soul Live album. He sings it in such an interesting way. It's super dope version. I think it's on the album Next by Soul Live.
Okay.
It's a song called Joyful Girl. And then I really like Some Devil. That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
And plus that was just interesting treatment production wise and writing wise. I like that album, but that song, I think that'd be cool. There's a couple songs off. What am I thinking?
There's several songs on that record that I think you would fit very, very well on. Could do some cool stuff. And I'd like to see them expand their playing of some of those songs. Like Dodo or Too High and Trouble. Some of those. I think that
Trey played guitar on that record, right?
Yeah. Trey and Tim.
It was Trey and Tim. Okay, yeah. Man, that kind of stuff is so interesting to me because with all of that, the nature of it inherently, that album's going to sound so different. But I love, again, coming back to the community thing. It's like, yeah, Trey's playing guitar on the record, dude. It's just like, yeah. And it's just, he's playing guitar parts. It's not necessarily like, bro, Trey on the album. It's just, it's, dude, a great guitar player playing great guitar parts on great songs. And it's a great example of that, which is so cool.
Totally agree. That album was awesome. Just came out on vinyl, so that's awesome. We could talk to Cory for literally hours about all this stuff, and we had so many questions that you know what, we'll just have him on again. Obviously,
let's do it. Let's do it right before the gorge.
Ooh, yeah. Perfect. Before or after or both, we'll do it with Cory. But we want to get out of here quickly on a rapid fire. This is a standard corner of Gray Street, Convos on the corner staple here. So rapid fire, favorite D&B album and song.
Crash number 41. Sorry. Got to do it.
Love it.
Favorite venue you've played at?
Red Rocks.
Love that. Who is the GOAT guitarist?
I think I got to give it up for George Benson.
Okay. That's
Number
excellent.
one hits in the jazz world, number one hits in the pop world.
Big
Hard
time.
to argue.
Cat can
Yeah.
slay.
Favorite non-DMB band or song?
I feel like the Beatles is too easy to say, so I'm going to say Steely Dan.
Hmm.
Like how I
Okay.
snuck in 2 band titles.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, like how I did that.
Beatles is a default though for everybody, right? Like
I know that's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah, they're number one.
Wait, you can't. That's why it's like it's not even fair to say the Beatles. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's a
but
good
I'll go Steely Dan and song Claire de Lune by Debussy. The version from Fantasia.
Interesting.
The version from
Yeah,
Fantasia.
I was like, that is
yeah,
that is really
Nice.
interesting. No
Was not
one's ever
expecting
given
that.
that answer. That's for sure. Okay, best show you've seen could be DMB or not, and then also, how many DMB shows have you actually attended?
Best show ever, 2003, Bela Fleck and the Flecktones with Keller Williams opening Minnesota Zoo Amphitheater. The Minnesota Zoo Amphitheater. That show changed my life. That show is the one show that gave me permission to do what I do. I don't know why. For whatever reason, when I left that show, it's like, I can do it. They just gave me permission. They didn't verbally do it. They just energy, sonically, artistically gave me permission to execute a vision.
Wow.
So that's why. I just left with the most and that's Coffin era Flecktones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love the Howard era as well. Obviously amazing. But that it just stayed on the record. That was Jeff on that gig.
Wow.
And what was the other part of that question?
How many DMB shows have you
Oh
seen?
yeah, how many DMB shows? East Troy, Target Center, East Troy. 9? No, 11. 11, because I didn't count the MSG shows. I didn't count the
Okay.
MSG.
I was going to say, well, maybe Gorge is going to be double digits, but it'll get you past that.
Yeah.
Double digits, big time. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Dream guest spot.
To see play with me or to see play with Dave?
No, just who you would love to guest with that you haven't guested with.
This is another one. Do I go a little more in the pop realm or do I go more in the jazz realm? Because I kind of live in both worlds. If I'm going jazz realm, I'm going to go Brad Meldau. Although I might be a little intimidated there. So I'm probably going to say John Mayer. John is a friend. We're guitar buddies. And I just think that guitar-wise, we'd get into some really interesting playing together. And actually, he's also I interviewed him on my podcast. We give it up for Dave in my podcast. He shows one of his songs that do do dee do dee do dee. He's like, yeah, this was literally me just trying to do a song like Satellite. And then just trying to and he plays his song and then he plays Satellite and singing. He's like, see, look, dude, this is the same thing.
Wow. It's
so pretty incredible. Yeah, it's so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's an incredible artist. Yeah.
So Dreams guest spot, obviously John Mayer, but also John Mayer and Cory together on the Corner of Gray Street podcast later on. That's booked. All right, we're going to get you out of here on this one, Cory. Thank you so much for joining. I want you to plug, obviously, your socials and some of your upcoming gigs, but also your podcast and some of your other things that you've got going on, the Wong Notes and all of that, because you are truly a Renaissance man and have so much cool stuff that we need everyone to check it out because it's truly like, this is special stuff. It's like once in a generation kind of dude here. And so please plug away.
Oh, thank you. Well, socials, just search my name, Cory, CoryWong. You'll find me on whatever social that you're on. Find me there. Sure. I'm probably there. And yes, I have a tour coming up. I'm doing an East Coast Midwest tour in November. I have a new album coming out this summer with the Metropole Orchestra, the one with Hornsby. I'm stoked. And yeah, I just have a lot of things coming out that are fun. Come say hi at the Gorge. Oh my gosh. I mean, Gorge, then going into my East Coast Midwest tour is this year's set up to be just a dream.
Hard to believe.
Oh my gosh. Have the best time at the Gorge, man. I'm
I
so
will.
jealous of everyone
will.
going there again. It's like once in a lifetime kind of deal. But man, and also when you guest on 41 there, you and John Mayer can go over your guest performances and see who had the better number 41. So
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, if he's gonna channel some Bela and Vic, oof,
yeah,
I'm saying Cory. I'm saying Cory already, and I haven't even heard it yet.
Everybody's got to bring their own thing. I'm gonna quote though, because I got to give respects. I got to pay respects.
got to.
But I'll do my own thing. I'm gonna do my own
especially if Jeff like notices it. If he's like, oh,
yeah,
that's what Bailey did. He won't, but that'd be awesome. Everyone check out Cory. He is literally the man. Obviously, we are so grateful to have him on here. It's been awesome to hang out. Happy DMB Tour Day, tour opener, Tampa today, Wednesday, May 22nd. We're already here. This is incredible. Obviously, you know where to find us as well at Gray Street Pod. Check out our merch store, graystreetpod.shop. Right, Nolan? Keep me honest.
Graystreet.shop.
Okay,
check it out. Get it for the tour.
Shop. Yeah, just in time for your tour merch. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Cory, and we'll see you all next time on the corner of Gray Street.
Osiris.